I'll just upload it to YouTube afterwards. So let's see. Pardon my typing. So, hi, Philippa. How are you? Philippa's in Jerusalem. She's the person I was talking about earlier.
Hey, Philippa.
Do you prefer Philippa or
Good,
Phil?
only good things. Okay.
Phil? Yeah, either way, you're fine. You're muted, so I can't actually hear what you're saying.
I said we're fine.
Oh, okay. So welcome to Any Sunday Songwriters. It's called that because it used to be, and actually it is again now, the second Sunday at Kick Butt Coffee, which is about spitting distance from my house here in Austin. And when everything shut down for the pandemic, I realized that I was no longer stuck with the second Sunday. I could do it any Sunday I wanted to, hence the name. And I have wonderful guests with me today. Jimmy Joe is also here in Austin, and he's an amazing guitarist. And you can't tell, but he has this incredibly long, gorgeous hair. So I invited him to do the CD release party to do one of the songs for my biblical album, Unsung. And I told him at the time and said it again just a moment ago, he looks biblical just standing there. So it was really nice. And my other guest is Jane Ross Fallon is the way I know you, but that's because that was what was on the program at the South Florida Folk Festival, where she and I were both contestants in the song competition. And she did this wonderful song that I hope she's planning to do again this afternoon about a small town in Florida and the troubles that happened there. So I'm really looking forward to her set, whatever she puts in it, or her songs. So let's get rolling. I'm sure there's more to tell you, but I'll tell you in a while. Jane, would you like to kick us off? You're muted, however.
I was tuning, and I muted myself for a second. Make sure I was in tune.
Well, that was wise.
Yeah, it was nice to be here. Yeah, it's always nice to tune. Nice to be here. I did one of these with you before. That was fun. And I will just start with a song about communication, which mentions a substance most of us don't see lately, which is called snow. And an analogy more than anything. And what I've heard from people after I sang this song is just snow does have a decibel level, and you can hear it. Some folks lose their hearing as they age. Some have never ever heard very well at all. Me, I hear a pin drop from 20 yards away, and I can hear that fly light upon the wall. So if I don't hear you, maybe it's because I don't want to. I don't hear your criticisms, your negativity. I don't hear the list of things you want me to be. I don't hear your definition of what's right and wrong. I don't hear you analyze the lyrics to my song. I just sit here by my window in the fire's glow, and I listen to it snow. I listen to it snow. I don't hear the angry snarl of the traffic in the night. I don't hear the road rage quarrel. I don't hear people fight. I don't hear the bombs crash wash on that distant foreign shore. Any kind of anger, I don't hear it anymore. I just sit here by my window in the fire's glow, and I listen to it snow. I listen to it snow. Well, snowflakes are like people. Yeah, I know two are alike, and there are those who'll tell me they don't make a sound when they fall. I think they're wrong. If you put away your anger, if you brush away your fears, if you listen with your heart and not your ears, you'll find every tiny crystal has a little tiny voice, and it makes a little tiny sound when it falls on the ground. I don't hear the hypocrites as they change their minds again. I don't hear the fiery preacher telling me the world will end. I don't hear the pleas of heaven. I don't hear the rage of hell. I don't hear my future beckon, at least not very well. I just sit here by my window in the fire's glow, and I listen to it snow. I listen to it snow. So don't go one step further. Don't you walk out that door. Unbutton that resentment. Drop it right there on the floor and walk back here to me. I'll teach you how to hear a snowflake symphony. Come and sit here by my window in the fire's glow, and we'll listen to it snow. We'll listen to it snow. Oh, can't you hear it snow? Thank you.
That was so lovely.
Thank
Never
you.
once occurred to me to do that. I know it gets really, really quiet when it snows.
I've heard people sing that song. They say, "I wake up at night when it snows." It's like I know it's happening, and people swear about it. So
Those were the only days in New York that I wanted to get up early because I wanted to be the first footprints in Central Park.
that's a good goal. That's great.
Well, when it snowed here last February, that old feeling of wanting to be the first footprints in the snow came back to me because there was 6 inches of snow on the ground that morning. And I went out, I borrowed my husband's boots, and I went out and I made, you could see it. I took a picture of it afterwards. I got about 10 feet from the door and I went, okay, that's enough. And I went right back in. So, Jimmy Joe, where were you when the snow came? Tell us a little bit about yourself and sing us a song. And hello, Ann.
Hi, Ann. Hi, Ann.
Nice to
family.
meet you.
I'm looking forward to meeting you tomorrow. Okay, well, tell about me?
Yeah.
About the snow or what?
No, just about you, whatever you choose.
I don't know, where would I start? I started playing guitar at age 11 and didn't really start writing songs and singing until I was about 30. So I was playing a game of catch up. So I consider myself a guitar player who sings, or a guitar player with a story. But, you know, kind of mix it up. But like your online version of this show that was born out of the pandemic, this song was a product of the pandemic. About a month in, when we were all under lockdown, and I got this Google Maps update, which the previous year had been to the East Coast and the West Coast and Mexico and and it was just this flurry of red dots all over my Google Maps. And then I got the update in April of 2020, and it was a whole lot different. I love to travel, I'll go anywhere. When I hit the road, man, any place is fair. There's an app on my phone for when I want to know. Puts a red dot on the map for every place I go. I drove to Cincinnati, Mississippi, and Tennessee. A string of little red dots as far as I could see. I stopped in Illinois, little town called Champaign. I went to Portland in both Oregon and Maine. I'm a red dot ranger, that's all I want to be. Chasing little red dots, or are they chasing me? I travel all around to find my new favorite spots. My phone is right beside me, connecting all the dots. I've been to Salt Lake, Colorado, and Idaho. I went to Oaxaca in the mountains of Mexico. I've been through the Ozarks, Rockies, and Catskills. Traveled through Texas where there are lots of dots to fill. I'm a red dot ranger, that's all I want to be. Chasing little red dots, or are they chasing me? I travel all around to find my new favorite spots. My phone is right beside me, connecting all the dots. But lately I don't get out much anymore. I hardly ever open the front door. Time and perspective have all changed. I've reduced my traveling range. Now I go to the bathroom and I head right back to bed. I stroll out to the yard, all the way to the shed. I saunter to the living room, watch the cat chase its tail. Sometimes I even go outside to check the mail. It might sound a little dull, but it's not as bad as it seems. I go on Facebook, I look at funny memes. I click on the map app with my computer mouse. There's a whole mess of red dots sitting right there on my house. I'm a red dot ranger, that's all I want to be. Chasing little red dots, or are they chasing me? I travel all around to find my new favorite spots. My phone is right beside me, connecting all the dots. My phone is right beside me, connecting little red dots.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, I have always had kind of a love-hate relationship with touring. And I know you've done a lot of it, both of you, Jane and Jimmy Joe. But for me, it was like, I wished I had a transporter, because the part in between leaving home and getting to the gigs, mostly I was doing it in my car. Sometimes I flew, but mostly I was doing it in my car. And grueling is the word that comes to mind the easiest. But now that we've been locked down for 2 years, I finally did start playing in other places than Austin. I went to LA at the beginning of the summer and to Chicago about a month ago. And tomorrow we're leaving for a place that I know you're familiar with, Jimmy Joe, and I'm going to sing about it later because I wrote a song for it because I fell in love with it. But this is today's anthem. I'm ready to here's ready to see sights I've never seen before. Already packed my bags and I'm headed out the door. Ready to feel sunshine and cool mountain breezes, to travel foreign lands with white sand beaches, or both. Fly me away. I'm ready to hear songs I've never heard before, with didgeridoos or alpine horns, and revel in the sounds that make me want to dance, that set my soul afire and help me take my chance to go. Fly me away, fly me away, fly me away. Take me to a place where everything is new, a place where I can stay and play a while or two. I'm ready. Hey, fly me away. I'm ready to meet friends I've never met before, with unfamiliar smiles and unheard stories, to tell me of their plans and tell me of their dreams, and share a meal or two and meet their families. Let's go. Fly me away, fly me away, fly me away. Take me to a place where everything is new, a place where I can play and stay a while or two. I'm ready. Hey, fly me away. New flavors, new sounds, new feelings all around. Outward bound, fly me away. Fly me away. Take me to a place where everything is new, a place where I can play and stay a while or two. I'm ready. Yeah. Hey, fly me away. Fly me away. Fly me away. Thank you.
Yeah, ready to go. All
Yeah.
right.
Really.
Awesome.
Notice I'm not
Everybody's
talking
ready to
about
go.
driving.
No, I know. As much as we don't want to do it because it contributes to global warming, we just can't wait. I know.
There you go.
I'm going to say, gotta do it. One person, what can I do? I'm going to do another communication song, and this is one was spawned by a prompt at the local open mic. And the prompt was dialogue, and I said, what's a dialogue but two people talking? And as a college professor, I learned teaching communications that most of the time when we're talking to each other, somebody's thinking about what we're going to say back. 75% of the time while people are having some communication. Well, I got words to say the things I want to say. Only human beings communicate that. It's important how we choose them, and even more important that we listen when folks use them. I'm tired of talking to the wind, pretending that you're listening. Appears to me your mind's off track, thinking about what you'll say back. Oh honey, that's not communication. Two monologues are not a conversation. So let's sit down, hold each other's hands. We can share our dreams, talk about our plans, but here it comes. I shouldn't be surprised. I can see that distant, faraway look in your eyes. I'm tired of talking to the wind, listening. Appears to me your mind's off track, thinking about what you'll say back. Oh honey, that's not communication. Two monologues is not a conversation. You see, the way it works is I talk to you and you talk to me and we listen in between. I'm tired of talking to the wind, pretending that you're listening. Appears to me your mind's off track, thinking about what you'll say back. I'm tired of talking to the wind, pretending that you're listening. Two monologues are not a conversation. Thank you, thank you.
Wow. So true. Got my keys, bags are packed, I'll lock the door, feed the cat. Today, there's no more to say, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. When you're down, you need someone, call on me, consider it done. Today, it'll be okay, I'm on my way, I'm on my way, I'm on my way, through the tears and fears and all the doubts troubling me. I can see the light of a brand new day. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. I made a choice, I have a plan, I'll take the world by the hand. Today is a new day, I'm on my way, I'm on my way, I'm on my way,
That was wonderful.
Very nice.
I'm envious of your guitar playing. Just thought you should know that. So, this is Apropos of Nothing. I just feel like playing it. Where are all the Gretas and Marlenas? And all the Mae Wests, where are they? No one tells the boys, come up and see me sometime. That's all out of style nowadays. But I still long for old-time steamy romance and satin gowns and stockings with seams and men that wear trench coats and fedora hats. I wish they'd bring that all back, 'cause I want to be a femme fatale. I want to be a vamp. I want to whistle like Bacall and have 'em all eating from my hand. They put me on a pedestal, competing for my glance. I want to be a femme fatale. I want to be a vamp. Though I am a liberated woman, sometimes I'd prefer to be a tease. And when I see those starlets with eyes come hither soft, I could pull that off, it seems to me. See? And then would buy me clothes and bring me jewelry and open doors and pull me out a seat. And then stand by politely until I'd sit, enjoy my sparkling wit, a little risque repartee with a femme fatale. I want to be a vamp. I want to be the party doll that upsets all their other plans. I know it isn't fashionable, but it's so elegant. I want to be a femme fatale. I want to be a vamp. Dietrich and Davis, they had it made. Mansfield and Monroe, hey, where'd they all go? Well, the women we admire now in the movies are all doctors and lawyers and chiefs. They don't flutter their lashes or swing their hips. They don't pout their lips or sit on anyone's knee. And if they're in some older profession, they've all been reformed by Act 3. They've given up their cigarettes and champagne. I guess we've come a long way, but I sure miss the day of femme fatale. I want to be a vamp. I want to give the boys the eye, call some guy my honey lamb. I'd have 'em all in a spell, I'd have 'em in a trance. If I was a femme fatale, I would be sensational. I want to be a vamp. So there.
All right. Yeah. Back in the day.
Yeah.
Love those old movies.
So I did want to mention that if you're on the Zoom and you don't have your chat open, hello, Rick. You should have it open. There's a whole nother world going on there. And I also wanted to mention that we are being watched on Facebook. So hello to Sybil and Myra and Kay and Wendy and Donna, who are delighted you came. Thank you very much. I want to also give you a little heads up about Rick because no, no heads up for Rick. Oh, quite often he could put backgrounds up that go with your song, but I guess today is not one of those days.
No, I'm still using my green screen for something else.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
We're
I
not good
can't
enough for the
do
green
what
screen.
I normally do. Sorry.
It's okay. We're delighted you're here. So, Jane, you're up.
Okay, me? Okay. Okay. All right. I will sing a song since I've got some New York City people here in this audience. was based on a song prompt, just pointed a place on the map. Luckily, I did live in California, and this kind of came. Well, I'm a Mendocino girl, and I live down near the bay. How did I end up in New York City? I got a Mendocino boy, and I miss him every day. How did I end up in New York City, where there are too many cars, and I cannot see the stars? Well, I'm a California girl, and I love the West Coast way. How did I end up in New York City? Redwood trees and the early morning haze. How did I end up in New York City, where there are way too many cars, and I cannot see the stars? Well, I guess I got the bug when I was just 16, to leave my small town life behind. I went find myself on the Great White Way, now getting home, that's all that's on my mind. Well, I'm a small town girl, and I love to walk those hills. How did I end up in New York City, where only the buildings are higher than my heating bill? How did I end up in New York City, where there are way too many cars, and I cannot see the stars? How did I end up in New York City? I'm a Mendocino girl, and I live down near the bay. How did I end up in New York City? Sorry if I'm having some spattering, with the internet. I have no control over it. There's not an Ethernet connection here. So I'm going to go down and check the router and make sure nothing else is on in the house, and that might help.
Okay, yeah. You read that while you were playing? I'm impressed. I can't do anything while I'm playing. So, Jimmy Joe.
Yeah.
Tell us something else. Something new.
Something what?
Something new.
Something new?
Yeah. Got something new?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
The old is I was born in New York City, but I grew up in Long Island. And I have a song, but I haven't done it in a year, so I'm not going to do it now because I don't remember it. But it was, it's called I'm a Native of New York, but I ain't from there anymore. But what's new in my life is Anne, who's watching from Wisconsin. And let's see. And I'll do one of my newer songs. Let's see. I just did a serious one, so I'm going to do a funny one. This is a true story going back to my childhood. Any kids listening, don't try this at home. Ditched my old trike, got my first real bike. was 6 or 7. Rode it up and down the block and all around. I was in kid heaven. One day I was bored. I found an old barn door. I made a ramp with an old truck tire. I picked up my pace, determination on my face. Jumped the ramp, man was I on fire. I laid 3 tires on the end and jumped again. I checked the bike, made sure the chain was greasy. Laid down the more beyond the old barn door, but jumping 6 tires was too easy. So then I got my friend to put another one on the end. When I jumped, man, I knew that I could fly. I said, one more will do. On second thought, let's make it 2. You never know until you try. Well, I felt like a champ when I hit the ramp. I was doing just fine, but I knew I'd tempted fate. When I cleared number 8, my front wheel got stuck in number 9. I went flying, but my bike stayed behind. For a moment, I was Superman. I sailed head first into the grass and the dirt. Didn't turn out as I planned. And when I came to, I was black and blue. My friend was looking down at me. He lifted me up, said, you've had enough. You might as well be riding up a tree. But I left it all behind me, but a bent bike to remind me. I fixed the wheels, straightened out the seat. There was no deciding, I just kept on riding to that maple tree up the street. Never noticed before till I looked down at the floor, the perfect slope of the roots. If I could wrangle my bike up that angle, I'd fly right out of my boots. So I rode back to the yard, got a good running start. The sky was calling down to me. Full steam ahead, well, I felt a sense of dread when the bike and me climbed that maple tree. When I came to, I was black and blue. My friend was looking down at me. He lifted me up, said, you've had enough. Why'd you go riding up a tree? He lifted me up, said, I've had enough. Why'd you go riding up a tree?
Yes.
Wow. That was an adventure. I think you need to turn your audio up. Gosh. Wow.
Thank you.
So I'm getting to go back this week to a place that I know Jimmy Joe has seen, so he knows how wonderful it is. And it's a place near where Jane just sang about. And I loved it so much, I wrote a song for it, which I'm actually going to get to play there this time, because the place that we used to play there closed, and there was no place, I thought. And we walked into the market, and I said, well, where do people play now that, was it 215 or 315 Main is closed? I think it's 215. And she said, well, how about right here? So that's what I'm doing. Blue skies, sunshine, sea foam sparkling on the shore, tall pines, grapevines, and a blackbird rock on tour. simple as a prayer. It's spring in Point Arena. It's spring in Point Arena. And the birds of California are singing everywhere. White eyes, bright smiles in this tiny seaside town. New friends take our hands and invite us to sit down. Sunday gathering, picnic in the park. It's spring in Point Arena. It's spring in Point Arena. And the birds of California are singing to my heart. This is how I think paradise is gonna be. But the sun is setting and the fog rolls in, and we must leave. But spring in Point Arena, spring in Point Arena, and the birds of California will sing on. Spring in Point Arena, spring in Point Arena, and the birds of California will sing on in my dreams. It's spring in Point Arena.
Yeah, that's so relaxing. It really paints the picture. Wow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful town, and that fog.
Fog, yeah.
You
Well,
know,
there's a lighthouse there, but for the first couple times we went, I didn't believe it because you
Yeah, it
could
was-
never
Couldn't
see
see
it.
it.
it was about the third or fourth trip there that we finally saw the lighthouse. I was beginning to think they made it up.
I was pretty sure of that.
Yeah.
All right. So we're moving right along. Yes, Jan mentioned this song earlier, so I'll go ahead and play it. It's the 100th anniversary, January 23rd, racial incident in our country after the Civil War called Rosewood. There was a huge uprising there. It was one town against another, and it just was a very sad occasion. Not lots of people got killed, but they got totally chased off their lands, and totally all the black community was totally destroyed. Never came back. Everybody had to run away. And so I wrote the song, and I took it to the Will McLean Festival and won first place with it. Got to know some people that way. And we are going to start collecting. We're collecting now stories and poems about Rosewood that we're going to do a show next year. So if anybody wants to write a song about Rosewood, look it up and see what angle you can take on it. But this is my angle. My name is Fanny Taylor, and in 1923 I lived next to a sawmill northeast of Cedar Key in the little town of Sumner, divided by race from the nearby town of Rosewood. Such a peaceful place before the fire, before the noise, before I heard the sheriff call. Oh, let's go get him, boys, before the death, before the screams. I walk the streets of Rosewood in my dreams. 100 angry men sent their dogs into the night to find one black man that they said attacked a woman who was white, and they tortured and they killed and they terrorized the town, and they took their torches with them, they burnt it to the ground. The Rosewood, I remember, was a happy place to be, with 3 churches and 2 schools, and a baseball team, and houses always painted, and roses everywhere, and at night piano music filled the air. Before the fire, the South, it was a hotbed of violence. Those years there were lynchings, there were riots, hearts and minds filled with prejudice and fear. So you cannot blame me. My husband went to work very early every day, and he came home very late at night. I also had a lover. He came to my back door one day. He hit me with all his might. To tell the truth about those bruises, what led to my disgrace. So I said what came the quickest to my tongue, that it was a black man who hit me. So God forgive me, I was young. Before the fire, before the noise, before I heard the sheriff call, oh, let's go get him, boys. Before the death, before the screams, I walked the streets of Rosewood in my dreams. One day it was a place where children went to school. Next I saw it burn before my eyes. Once upon a time, a community with pride. Before the fire, before my life.
You gave me chills again, Jane.
So it took until 2006 or something for a sign to go up there. Jeb Bush put one up, and they'd ignored it for all those years. And the last house standing is going to be removed from the property pretty soon, and they're trying to find a place to put it to make a museum out of it. So as we gather money and do this concert, we'll try to gather money to help them move that to the nearest town so they can make a museum, because the new landowner has taken everything off of that. It's a tough one. It was a sad, sad time in our country's history, so we need to remember it and understand why we had the problems later on with racism we did. All these people got chased off their homes. A woman named Nia Ham Clark has done a series called Dreams of Black Wall Street. And she called me and asked me to use that song, which she did on her podcast. And she called it one of the finest works of art about Rosewood she had ever heard, which made me feel good. Because she's a black woman, and she didn't mind me talking in the voice of the white woman who told the lie, and she thought that was okay. And I gave her a conscience. Who knows what she was thinking? She was 23 years old. One little slip of the tongue could save her own skin, and the whole town went away. So thank you for listening.
Well done.
Wow, that was powerful.
Yeah.
And I've got one I wasn't planning on doing. I haven't done this one in quite a while. But after that one, this is from when I was living in Hollywood, California. I was I took a walk with a friend of mine down the street, and we got separated. He went across the street to check on an address, and somebody grabbed me from behind and had a gun took my money and all that stuff, and it was a crazy experience. And my friend went and called 911 and gave the description of the guy and the location and everything, and the police came and thought it was him, and they pinned him to the ground with the guns to his head, and I hadn't really thought much about his side of the story, so I wrote this song from his perspective. Hanging with my buddy on a front. Sorry, I'm gonna get the mic. I had to get some lyrics. Hanging with my buddy on a Friday night, spinning vinyl and everything is alright. I said, you know, I have a connection, a man with a badass record collection. I said, trust me, this is gonna be good. So we went for a stroll on the streets of Hollywood. I don't remember the name of the street, but I know I'll know it when I see it. I said, I'm not lost, doing just fine. Let me run across, check the number on the sign. I turned around, said I found the right place, and I saw the dude grab you, put a gun in your face. I ran to the building, made the call, dialed 911 from a payphone on the wall. Said, there's a man pulled a gun on my friend. He's a black man, stands about 5'10". Said, there's a man pulled a gun on my friend. He's a black man, about 5'10". Calm down, talk slow, said the voice in the station. I took a deep breath, gave her my location. I stood guard like a man on a mission. Heard the sirens when it hit me. I fit the description. Hey, I'm not the man you're looking for. Guns drawn, a pin face down on the floor. I'm telling you, you got the wrong guy. I'm the one that called you and I don't wanna die. Hey, I'm not the man you're looking for. Guns drawn, a pin face down on the floor. I'm telling you, you got the wrong guy. I'm the one that called you and I don't wanna die. Hey. The radio squawked, there's a man on the run. They caught him when he tried to toss the gun. They cut me loose, sent me on my way. For me it was traumatic, for them just another day. I couldn't find you, where did you go? Did you get hurt? Did you run home? Remembering the incident on Orange Drive, I'm feeling lucky just to be alive. Hey, I'm not the man you're looking for. Guns drawn, I've been face down on the floor. I'm telling you, you got the wrong guy. I'm the one that called you and I don't wanna die. Hey.
Wow.
Very powerful. Nice. That's a common story, unfortunately. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. So, since the subject of New York came up and the subject of Hollywood, Jimmy, you and I have probably left footprints in the same places.
I think, so. Yeah, that one time going to Point Arena, and I saw your poster up on the wall, your flyer for a gig.
Which actually the year before, I had seen y'all's, and that's how I knew about it.
Yeah, I love when that happens.
Yeah, me too. So besides that, though, the place I moved to Austin from was New York City. And then I had been here in Austin for about 10 years, and people kept telling me, well, if you're serious about your music, you should be either in New York or Nashville or LA. And I came from New York, and I had tried Nashville for 6 months, and although it's a beautiful area, I didn't really like living there a whole lot. So I moved to LA for 5 years, which was not my most wise choice. LA and I were not a real good fit. And then at one point, my life kind of exploded, and I went, good, I'm going back to Austin. So, but my daughter decided that she would rectify her mother's mistake in leaving New York by moving back there and going to school there. And she'd been up there for about a month, maybe a little bit longer than that, when 9/11 happened. And she called me up and she asked me, should she come home? And I thought, well, it's kind of like when somebody offers to take you on a balloon ride, which this also happened to her. And she called me and said, I'm scared. What should I do? And I said, you're right to be scared. It's a dangerous thing to do. And staying in New York would be dangerous too under these circumstances. But unless you really want to come home, if you leave there now, you're going to regret it. And I wrote her this song. I know you've been watching the world go by, and so often it makes you cry and wonder if it's worth rising in the morning. Sorry. But though it's causing you so much pain, sooner or later it all will change. That's what it always does. When everything you counted on, everything you thought was true, turns around and runs away from you. Well, what can you do but live your whole life? Keep your own mind anyway. Seek your whole truth, speak your whole mind anyway. One foot in front of the other, step by step, day by day, any way you have to. I know you want to, but you're afraid. But what makes you feel that way is the message of fear you're hearing every day. So don't listen to what they say. Some people live their whole lives that way, but that's not you. You only get a moment, it won't last. And lots of other hard times are in your past. Your future's up to you, so live your whole life, speak your whole truth anyway. Seek your whole mind, seek your whole truth anyway. One foot in front of the other, step by step, day by day, any way you have to, any way you can, any way you'll have to, anyway.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
That's got Broadway written all over it,
It's in the next
Right.
musical I write.
All right, because keep them coming, I tell ya.
Well, if you say this is my first one, the implication is there's a second one.
Exactly. Just keep them coming. I'll change up my my line of topics and go back to communication. I wrote this and I played it at the Ossipee Folk Festival and I got audible mention. And the judge came up after and says, well, I would have wanted to give you a higher, but says, it's kind of a temporary kind of topic. And I said, I don't think so. You guys listen to think if this has changed at all in the last 8 years. There's a young man at a cafe looking tenderly down at his new iPhone. See the young girl sitting across the way, hugging her Android, looking so alone. In a minute, I suppose, he will send her a text message and propose. because it's not my imagination. Our communication has gone to hell. I suggested we should talk. You say you need a walk. I should text you or email. How hard can it be? Look me in the eyes and talk to me. I went to visit with a family. They had a daughter and a son and a mom and dad. One was playing games on the TV. One was on her mobile and two on their new iPads. They are aware, I assume, that I'm standing there right with them in the same room. I would like to look you in the eyes and tell you some things. That's the only way I'll realize exactly what you're feeling. I say I would like to talk to you so that we don't misunderstand each other. Let a little problem get totally out of hand. You say text me or call, or even better, post it on my Facebook wall. It's not my imagination. Our communication has gone to hell. I suggested we should talk. You say you need a walk. I should text you or email. How hard can it be? In the eyes and talk. Look me in the eye. Look me in the eye. If I suggest you meet me, don't tell me you'll tweet me. Look me in the eye and talk to me.
Bravo.
It's pertinent. It's pertinent.
Bravo. And the answer to your question is not at all.
Negative.
I'm a school bus driver, and one day, probably around the time you wrote that song, I hear these two middle school kids in the front seat talking, and say, "Hey, you want to hang out after school?" "Yeah, let's hang out." And then I got to the first bus stop, and one of the kids got up. He said, "All right, see you online." And I was like, "Oh, I thought they were gonna, actually hang out in person."
We're just a bunch of fogies around here.
Yeah, that just goes to show how old you are.
All right, I think I'm gonna do an instrumental now, and invite my friend Lupita. Lupita is my loop pedal, to play the rhythm for me. This one's called Romani Blue.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Yeah, that was something down the high string for sure.
Wow, cool.
Well,
Very
that
nicely
ends
done.
the guitar virtuoso portion of this round. I did want to mention a couple of things. First of all, I want to say hello to Annie and Donna, who I forgot earlier, and my cousin Gail is also watching on the Facebook stream of this show. So, hi, Gail. Also, the time has come to ask Jane, where are you going to be next, and where can people find you online?
I really don't have anything online right now. I've got some local stuff, and nobody's in Florida, so they're not going to broadcast it online. It's just all done locally. So, but it's fun. I have some sort of songwriter round to do, and I've got another couple of concerts and hitting all the open mics I can and stuff. It's just nice to be outside doing stuff. So,
Yep, yep. And okay, so you have a website though, yes?
I do. JaneFallon.com. And
Perfect.
then I have a page, Jane Fallon, singer-songwriter, Facebook, and my personal page is Jane Ross Fallon. I post it on everything along that, all those things. But yeah, I have some things coming up in the fall, but not right now through the summer. Just hanging locally and very, very fortunate to have some things going on. It'd be fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Jimmy Joe, how about you?
Well, a week from today, I'll be on Open Mic America.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a Zoom online thing where I think they have about 10 performers and each get 2 songs.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, and it's fun too.
it is fun. And then after that would be Barton Creek Farmers Market. I do the first Saturdays of each month. So August 3rd,
Cool.
at the Barton Creek Farmers Market in Austin.
Something online, something local. And where can people find you online?
Oh, that's a good question. JimmyJoeNatoli.com.
Yes.
I haven't
Spelt.
updated that in quite a while. I have to figure out how to update it.
Well, there's that. Yeah. I became a whole lot more technologically savvy two or so years ago. And I skipped Steve Lowe. Hello to Steve and hello to Myra. So let's see, what do I have coming up? I have the 13th, Saturday evening in Point Arena, which I know none of you are there, but you may have relatives there for all I know. So you might have relatives in Florida too. So go look at Jane's website and see where she's going to be. And my website is janseides.com. It's spelled just like you see it here. The E comes first. And all of us have recordings, and we all have various and sundry things to look at and some things to buy. So go check us out. Also, if you don't have your chat open, you see the little comic strip talk button down at the bottom of your screen. You should go look over there, because if for no other reason, that's where our tip jar is. So go and visit. You know what to do. And I don't have any guitar virtuosic things to play for you, so I'm going to play the piano instead for the moment. Actually, I'm not. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a couple from Unsung, if the stand will let me have my guitar. Unsung is the stories from the Bible that you didn't get to hear because nobody asked them. And let's see. I'm trying to figure out which one to do. Okay, this is the one that she's kind of my stand-in for all the people that really you don't get to know at all. She didn't even have a name, kind of like Noah's wife. And here is her story, not told from anyone's point of view but her own and mine. Jephthah was my father, soldier and commander. Jephthah was a gambler, and like gamblers everywhere, he made a deal with God. my enemies. Give me this victory. That was his prayer, and in return he offered up the first to meet him at his door when the goats came out to greet him as he marched home from his war. I am his daughter, his only daughter, no sisters and no brothers. After all this time, I love my father, so I danced out to the gate, came to celebrate him, but I found him crying 'cause he'd vowed to surrender the first to meet his eyes, and now this his only child would be that sacrifice. So I would have no name, 'cause I'd have no life, 'cause I'd never be a mother. I was no man's wife, and I had no heirs. He would have the same. More important, I'd have no name. The thing is, in biblical times, if you were female and you were grown up and you did not have a husband and you did not have children, you did not have a role. So the best explanation of this that I've heard was that he didn't sacrifice her the way you'd sacrifice a goat. He didn't kill her, but he might as well have, because he held her out. She couldn't participate in life, and therefore, when she was gone, there was no one to remember her. And since her religion didn't allow for an afterlife, having no one to remember her meant she was literally totally gone. Hence, no name. So I went up to the hills with all the other virgins. We sang laments and dirges and raised up our voices, and the men tell the tale of Jephthah's righteous glory, but they wouldn't have that story if I had a choice. And sometimes the women gather to mourn my pain, and they weep for Jephthah's daughter and her forgotten name. Because I had no name, 'cause I had no life, 'cause I never was a mother, I was no man's wife, and I had no heirs, despite my father's fame. But more important, I had no name. I had no heirs, let that be my father's shame. And from that day to this one, I have no name.
Wow, yeah, those are great stories. Great stories.
Thank you.
50 years ago was the anniversary of the death of a young Jewish girl named Liz Freeman, who was the first martyr in the Cesar Chavez United Farm Workers movement. She was a college student at New College in Florida, passing out leaflets when she was run into by a truck and killed. And so her sister Liz, who's from Wakefield, who runs the Linden Tree Coffee House, asked me if I wanted to do some songs for the anniversary, and I said, can I write one? So having found out her nickname was Morning Glory, because she just woke everybody's morning up with such a wonderful smile, I chose that as my theme. And also, Cesar Chavez, when he gave her eulogy, called her Kadosh. He said she is holy, and that's in the song as well. I walked into my garden to pick a little row of beans. I thought of those who feed us every day. They toil in the fields, back breaking in the sun, out of sight and out of mind to most everyone. And I remember the way that you always cared, how you worked for justice in your special way. And as I think of you, I wipe back a tear, hope you'll always be remembered, wishing you were here. Morning glory bursting in the sun brings energy and healing to the heart of everyone. Morning glory glistening in the dew, what brings the world such beauty sadly ends too soon. Love your neighbor as yourself seemed obvious to you, while others were complacent. You believed that human dignity was everybody's right, up to the moment of your own sacrifice. Holy are the ones who say you matter. Holy are the ones who say I care, when the world turned a deaf ear to the whispers of the poor and a blind eye to injustice everywhere. I think of you. Our morning glory symbolizes human life, they say, the challenges we all face every day, the shortness of the fight, helping us to thrive, the spirit of love that keeps us all alive. 50 years ago, so long and yet so short, you'd think the cause would have been won by now. We'll follow your example, the legacy of you, and all that you stood for. It's the least that we can do. Morning glory bursting in the sun brings energy and healing to the heart of everyone. Morning glory glistening in the dew, what brings the world such beauty sadly ends too soon.
Very soothing.
And that is on my YouTube channel with video of Nan. She was 19 when she was killed. Videos of her and the ceremony. If you look at the YouTube channel, James Fallon, you can see the song arranged for cello and guitar, and very nice. So I might want to check it out. Thank you.
Lovely.
Grandpa used to tell me about the olden days, how he used to walk to school uphill both ways. He'd set me down right there upon his knee, and I'd hang on to every word that Grandpa'd say to me. He'd reminisce out loud about when bread was just a dime. I sat there wide open eyes, traveling through time, to a day when gas was cheaper than the price of dirt by far. But that was back before the wheel, let alone the car. He told us fishing stories about when he used to sail. Somehow the fish got bigger every time he'd tell a tale. Grandma told us how he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. How she would knit the sweaters while Grandpa spun the yarn. Grandpa was a hunter, quite a marksman in fact. Said he once took down a buck with his gun behind his back. Told me once out on the field he had a golden arm, but he turned down the big leagues for he would not leave the farm. Grandpa never claimed to be a ladies' man, he'd say, but he broke a heart or two or three or four back in his day. Grandma didn't mind Grandpa telling his white lies. The truth is where it matters, you could see it in his eyes. In the days that followed after Grandpa died, we ate too much and laughed a little more than we cried. Grandma told us how he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. How she would knit the sweaters while Grandpa spun the yarn. Grandpa told me life was hard when he was a young lad. Sometimes he thought the good would never catch up to the bad. But he worked hard and loved, and he gave thanks and he gave praise, and he lived a life without regret back in the olden days. In the months that followed after Grandpa died, we drank too much and laughed a little more than we cried. Grandma told us how he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. How she would knit the sweaters while Grandpa spun the yarn. She would knit the sweaters while Grandpa spun the yarn.
Yes.
I could see Ann singing along.
Ann knows this one, huh?
I love that. My mother also told me she walked to school through the snow, uphill both directions, barefoot. Something to aspire to. Okay, so in the process of writing the songs for the Unsung album, I did quite a bit of research and, various Bible stories and what would be a good approach to tell this person's story and stuff like that. And this song I'm about to do is pretty new, and I stole it. I stole the whole chorus from Solomon, because, if you're going to steal, you should steal from the best, right? So this is what I ended up with. Actually, I need to do that. When I was young, I went to Rome to try to recover far from home, where I could let those memories fade. I'd wake in the morning and walk the streets to the Spanish Steps or the Colosseum or anywhere I could get away. Early one morning when the weather was good, I took a path through a neighborhood to a market at the edge of the Parione. Flowers and fruit and herbs and spice and bread and cheese, pastries and wine and apples from the Campo de Fiori. Stay me with wine, for I'm sick of love's misery, and comfort me with apples from the Campo de Fiori. Restore life's sweetness, heal my heart's grief, comfort me with apples from the Campo de Fiori. I knew one day the sun would rise and shine so bright I'd have to shade my eyes and the clouds would part to reveal singing Angeli. But until then I'd have to be content and wait with patience and confidence, eating apples from the Campo de Fiori. Stay me with wine, for I'm sick of love's misery. Comfort me with apples from the Campo de Fiori. Restore life's sweetness, heal my heart's grief. Comfort me with apples from the Campo de Fiori. Well, juicy and sweet as life has been, I remember the sadness now and then, and long for those apples again. One more bittersweet time, stay me with wine, for I'm sick of life's misery. Comfort me with apples from the Campo de Fiori. Restore life's sweetness, give my poor heart ease. Comfort me with apples from the Campo de Fiori. Comfort me with apples from the Campo de Fiori.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you. I gave Solomon a song credit.
Yeah. You got to. You got to do that. On the outskirts of town in a single wide, just Mama and me, not much pride. Whenever we'd go into town, no one said hey, they just looked down. Didn't know why they turned away, but Daddy was a cowboy, my daddy was a cowboy, they say. Found the picture I was looking for, buried in the bottom of her underwear drawer, long and lean in a pickup truck, cigarette in his mouth and his sleeves rolled up. Heard the door slam and I put it away. Daddy was a cowboy, my daddy was a cowboy, they say. No one told me how he died, it must have been something big. Maybe he died saving some young girl from a wild horse stampede. Or maybe the levee overflowed and threatened to bury the town, and Daddy lit the fuse and saved them all just before he drowned. I guess it might have been that way, 'cause Daddy was a cowboy, my daddy was a cowboy, they say. In and out of trouble since I've been 10, didn't like school, I didn't fit in. Mama, she went out late each night and didn't come back till the morning light. Never knew where she'd been away. But Daddy was a cowboy, my daddy was a cowboy, they say. I left home at just 16, looking for adventure, chasing a dream. Along come a man in a pickup truck, cigarette in his mouth, and his sleeves were rolled up. I hopped in and we pulled away. Daddy was a cowboy, my daddy was a cowboy, they say. Daddy was boy, they say. Thank you, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, my friend, for lending me a shoulder. It doesn't get easier as I grow older. You reached out to me, heart wide open. You gave me reason to keep on hoping. You listened to me, held me when I cried. You awakened in me a part I thought had died. You filled me with passion and laughter. You held me close the morning after. We had the love and the chemistry, but I know you and I were not meant to be. It was too good to be true. Now I have one thing to ask of you. Do you have any friends like you? Someone who cares, smiles when she sings, always speaks her mind, but not so that it stings. Someone who can make me blush when she flirts, makes me laugh until it hurts. I'll ask again, do you have any friends like you? Someone who cares, smiles when she sings, always speaks her mind, but not so that it stings. Someone who can make me blush when she flirts, makes me laugh until it hurts. Really like to know, do you have any friends like you? Do you have any friends like you? Do you have any friends like you? Like you.
Okay, lovely.
What a sweet song.
Very sweet, very lovely. Yeah, poignant.
Yeah. So, this is once again apropos of nothing, but we finally figured out how to hook up a second guitar. And so I tuned this one in a special way so that I could do this song. So I just remembered it was there, and I'm going to do this song. And what it has to do with is I was headed for Salt Lake City from Colorado. I was on tour. I was driving. And the people who had asked me to do a house concert in Salt Lake City said, come across on 70 from Denver or from Grand Junction, which is where I was coming from. And when you get to 6, go over the mountain, or you add about 45 minutes to your trip. Well, when I got to the mountain, I looked up and there was a thunderstorm going on up there. And it was dark and forbidding looking, and I decided I didn't really need to go over the mountain. And it turned out that that part of 70 going through southern Utah is spectacular. And if you haven't seen it, you should go there, because there's a whole bunch of canyons, and it's all this red rock. And then there's this one place where it's not all red rock, and the rocks are about the size of the moon. And it's just gorgeous. And I was so glad I went that way. And at one point, when I realized this wasn't just a flash in the pan, I got out of my car to take a picture because my husband wasn't with me and I wanted him to see it. And I held up my little phone and I started to take the picture, and then I thought, he's so totally not going to get it from this picture. Because, you know, if you can hold it in your hand, it's not really very impressive, is it? So I wrote him this song instead. This is me driving along Route 70. Uh-oh.
Forgot it?
Yeah, but I can get it real fast, so that's what I'm going to do because I really want to sing this for you. So just talk amongst yourselves for a moment. There. Here we go. Back on the road. Must have been a flat tire. Let me take you west and fill your eyes with beauty. I could show you pictures, but they'd just be small and puny, and you would not feel satisfied. No, you would not feel blessed like if you saw them with your own eyes. So let me take you west. Let me take you west to timeless earthly majesty in ever-changing robes and jewels left here by the sea, 'cause you will hear me speak of it and I will seem obsessed. So there is only one solution. Let me take you west. Let me take you west among the brooding silent canyons and the shouts of pointed rocky spires reaching for the heavens. Spend a day or spend a lifetime, whatever you suggest. Let me show you how I love you. Let me take you west. Imagine this at sunset. Let me take you west.
yeah. Definitely better than a little teeny picture. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, we got one quick round left, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, well, I'm going to do my encore because it's nice and short and moves things along. And I start in the set with this, and I find it kind of stands out because it's an a cappella piece, and kind of the way your instrumentals kind of stand out there, Jimmy Gerald. People say, "Oh, this is different," and someone's good at it. And I learned very young that I could sing a cappella with my family in the back of the car on the way to church in four-part harmony. And I wrote this song way back from a conference, a music conference. I was talking to Mark Kennedy, and we were talking about how the voice is an instrument, and everybody's glued to their instruments at these festivals. You know, give me a note. I don't need no stinking note. So I'm going to I'm going to sing my a cappella tribute to the vocal person. Thank you very much for being and listening. Thank you for having me, Jan. Put some stuff in the tip jar, people. Thank you so much. I know a girl named Ella, sings out on the street, snaps her fingers, taps her toes, keeps a steady beat. And she don't need no guitar, no piano keys. She don't need no banjo to keep her company. She sings doo-wop, doo-wop, dop, doo-wah, doo-wah, dop, doo-wow. Shoodly doop doop doobly shoop shoop sweep sweep doop doo wah da wah bee bop shoo shoo shooey. A cappella Ella singing unaccompanied. And now a cappella Ella began to feel alone. Thought she'd find a fella to call her very own. And one thing on the street heard the sweetest thing. He was cool and he was hip, and oh, that boy could swing. He sang doo-wop, doo-wop, dop, doo-wah, doo-wah, dop, doo-wow. Shoodly doop doop doobly shoop shoop sweep sweep doop doo-wah da wah bee bop shoo shoo shooey. Shaking it and baking it unaccompanied. And now a cappella Ella and her a cappella guy snap their fingers, tap their toes, watch the world go by. And they don't need no banjo, no piano keys. They don't need no guitar to keep them company. They sing doo-wop, doo-wop, dop, doo-wah, doo-wah, dop, doo-wow. Shoodly doop doop doobly shoop shoop sweep sweep doop doo-wah da wah bee bop shoo shoo shooey. A cappella Ella and her a cappella fella singing unaccompanied. Doo-wop, doo-wah, doo-wop, doo-wah, doo-wop, doo-wop, doo-wow.
Wow.
Always fun to do.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for saying yes to this a second time.
It is the second time. I know. You must have liked me the first time. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, your song about Ella made me think of a girl named Ellen. I'm a school bus driver, and this one year I had, actually for about 3 or 4 years, I had a bus route where I only had one child on my bus in the morning for the elementary school. There's a girl named Ellen. And we had this really cool route that went through the park and up the hill and around the bend and had all the cool stuff. And we used our imaginations, and this song it's the route. It's our bus route. When Ellen turned 10, I wrote this song and I brought it over to the house and gave it to her for her birthday. And her mom said, "Do you know these places?" She said, "Yeah, Mom, that's our bus route." Ellen's about 20 years old now. Anyway,
Whoa.
it's called Ellen's Ride.
Watch your step, get on the bus. Have a seat, take a ride with us. It's time for school, let's go for a ride. Give me your attention, I'll be your tour guide. I'll take you through the hills on winding roads. Between the trees you'll see fluorescent toads. So hold on tight, it's starting to rain, and we're flying down the mountain like a runaway train. We made it to the bottom with nary a scratch, but don't let go till we clear the briar patch. Driving through the park on a sunny day, see the armadillo right across the way. A left turn onto Ordinary Street, so ordinary and boring that I might fall asleep. Check the clock, we're right on time. Quick, take a right, we're starting to climb. This is the road they call Workers' Hill. You'll never see anybody standing still. Worker ants and worker bees, working in plants and working in trees. Now we're leaving all the ordinary stuff behind, entering a world of a different kind. Keep your mind open and ask what if, as we enter the jungles of forest on the cliff. Look down river over there to the east. It looks rather odd, a most curious beast. It swims and floats and walks with a twist. It must be a three-legged ironback rusted belly fish. Look through the trees now, what do you see? A strange-looking fellow looking back at me. I don't know if it was hatched or born, a one-striped, one-horned, flying zebra corn. Ordinary town is up ahead through the gate. It's time to get to school, let's not be late. But we're trapped by an animal the size of a bus, so hold on tight as we pass the rhinoceros. We're out of the jungle on the way to school. Oops, take a look, the bus is out of fuel. I'm happy to walk you the rest of the way. Now go on, little friend, have a most enchanted day. It's nice to see you, how do you do? You caught the right bus, we've been waiting for you. Just hop on board when you need a lift. We'll take you for a ride through the jungles of forest on the cliff.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yes, wonderful.
Thanks so much, Jan, for having
Thank
me
you, Jimmy. Thanks for saying yes. This has been lovely. So next time, the show is next Sunday, August 14th. We'll be back online with Ken Gaines and Claudia Schmidt, and it'll be a wonderful show. So if you would like to be notified and you are not on my list already, please put your email in the chat or in the comments on the Facebook page and on this show on Facebook, and let me know, and I will be happy to put you on there. You get something once a month once you get past the welcome emails, and no spam ever, just a list of what's about to happen, and maybe a little story. You never know. But this is all dedicated to Jimmy and to Jane and to all of you. Thanks for being here. Old friends may call you on the phone sometimes, or show up on your doorstep and say, remember when? Unpack their adventures, hang them in the closets of your heart. Old friends, they write their letters years too late, but you write back anyway. They wake you late at night, calling from the airport in between flights. I used to worry everyone was leaving and soon they'd all be gone. But I was wrong, 'cause life went on. Sooner or later they all came home. measure or compare the treasure of these memories we share. And I will always care for old friends. I used to worry everyone was leaving and soon I'd be alone. But I was wrong, 'cause life went on. Sooner or later we all come home. Old friends, all our paths will cross again, like multicolored ribbons and laced through time and space. And there will always be a place for old friends. Ooh.
Thank you, Jan. Lovely way to end. Thank you so much for everybody for listening and taking
Thank
part.
you.
So,
Come back and see us again.
all righty. You guys all take care and have a good day. Stay out of the heat.
Can we
Wherever
all
you're at.
uncloak to say goodbye?
I'm uncloaked, I think.
Yes.
Yes, I'm
Hi, Janet.
unmuted. Yes,
Hi, Rick.
everybody unmute and say hi. Hi, Janet. That's where you were hiding. I see you now.
Yeah. Janet's in a town about 30 minutes north of Tel Aviv. And Phil is in
I
Jerusalem.
see you show up on Neil's things sometimes. Yeah, Neil Braverman stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And practically
Very nice.
everywhere else. And she doesn't sleep at all that I can detect.
It doesn't seem to. Well, so nice to meet all of you. Thank you for listening and the wonderful music. I appreciate
And
it so much.
good to meet you, Anne. You look like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
having a good time.
Yes, you seem to have a good time. Yeah,
Yeah.
They sit there and listen. That was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me and all of my family. It's my dad's 81st birthday and his very first Zoom call.
Oh.
So.
Oh, cool.
We should sing him happy birthday.
Oh, please.
That'd be great.
Happy birthday to you. Just sing at your own pace. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear.
Jim.
Okay.
And
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So welcome.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And we'll see you again sometime. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Night. Bye, Janet. Bye, Phil.
See you soon, Jimmy Joe.
Can't wait. Bye, Jan.
Bye, Jimmy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was great.